Speaking of things that have names that are different but they're still the same as Rain-X and ceramic coating, two names, same thing, right? Right, guys?
No, you lost me. Is this the hopper or the serial number?
NASA changed the name of...
NASA changed their name. See?
No,
That's
this
how
is
lost I was.
I know, because, me and segues are just so awesome. No, this is awesome. NASA did name their headquarters, which is in D.C., after Mary Jackson, who is, you guys might know her from Hidden Figures if you saw that movie that came out. What was that, like 2016 now? I think, or 2017? Yeah, several years ago now. But she's famous for being the first African American female engineer at NASA. So an actual and she ended up getting an engineer degree after already having worked with NASA. Well, actually at the time it was NACA. She was with the National Administration for our Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, I think is what NACA was, or something like that. And but so anyway, just all around like one of the really, really, really incredible people that helped, especially during the Mercury program, figuring out boundary. Again, we were just talking about boundary layers, but that's funny. She really did a lot of stuff with aeronautics and actually how the air interacts with spacecraft through reentry and different altitudes. Developed a lot of the math behind some of those equations, and especially reentry trajectories, learning how like the Mercury spacecraft would, what it's going to experience at different altitudes, at different velocities. She developed a lot of that math, or helped develop a lot of that math. So it's super cool to see her being recognized. I think she died, if I remember right, she died in like the early 2000s. So unfortunately, she hasn't been able to see a lot of the cool things that have happened after she's passed. She retired in 85. Let's see. I don't remember if this article might talk about it, but yeah. So straight up downtown, or not downtown, but straight up in DC where the NASA headquarters are. Yeah, that's now officially. I think it'll just be Jackson or the Mary Jackson building. What will they call it now? Mary W. Jackson headquarters. Cool. Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
That's cool.
I mean, it's a good timing to do some of that stuff, and maybe try to remember. I don't think there's actually a name for the headquarters before, which is funny, because we have Johnson Space Center, we have Kennedy Space Center, we have Glenn and JPL, and all these places that mostly JPL, obviously that's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, so it doesn't have a name after a scientist or an astronaut. So that's kind of an outlier still, but I'm pretty sure the headquarters was always just headquarters. I don't think I've ever heard anyone, Discord, you guys know anything? Because I don't think it's ever been anything besides just NASA headquarters. So yeah, good to see the headquarters getting an awesome name after an awesome person.
I still love that there were people that were human computers. Like that was their job. They are a computer.
Yeah. Well, and that we ended up naming computers after them. Like people think that sounds like a weird, like, kind of almost like, how dare you call someone an inanimate object? It's like, no. They were doing the computing before
the
there was...
inanimate object was named after the people.
Yeah.
Doing it.
There weren't things that were inanimate that could compute before these people. So, yeah.
I love looking back at history, at the things that we have machines or computers that do now, that once upon a time we just had to throw human beings at it. Just rooms full of people crunching various things to make it work.
You still kind of have that with what I would argue is probably the one of the driving forces behind computers evolving to where they are now, which was the census. Because the census was created and you could only do it every 10 years because it literally took that long to count. And this is when you're talking about the population, like the U.S., I don't know when the first census was, but it's like, I don't even know if we had like coast to coast yet. Like it was that long ago when they started doing it. And so there was a guy that had a company that made a thing called the tabulating data machine. I forget his name now. Oh, it's such a good story. But then he actually, he sold his company and merged with someone else to create a company called International Business Machines. And so that's where that all came. But even the reason this is a topic that that I'm interested in is because even today, the census is still done every 10 years, and it still takes an army of people, even given the technology we have. So it's just mind-blowing. Yeah, like counting a thing takes no time at all from even something small that fits in my pocket. But you still have to have an army of people reaching out like door to door, knocking on people's things like, hey, you didn't fill this out. Like, it's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
It is wild, honestly. Yeah.
So on that, sorry, just sort of a weird non sequitur. Did you see the movie on Amazon Prime called The Vast of Night? You see anything about this?
Never
It was a
heard of
low
it.
budget movie. It was actually shot around in Texas, but it's like set in the 1950s. And it's all takes place in one night where a couple of people. It's about an alien visitation, basically. But it's like, in fact, it's kind of set up as if it was on a show called Paradox Theater, which was clearly a take on the Twilight Zone or The Outer Limits. So like a non-existent TV show from the 50s, sci-fi show. So it's like an episode of that is how it was kind of put together. But anyway, one of the characters in it was a switchboard operator. And I was just kind of watching that. And of course I knew about all this. So it's not like I learned it from this movie, but it just kind of like, I don't know. It just kind of really got me started thinking about how like once upon a time when you needed to make a phone call, you would call the operator.
Yeah.
And the operator would take a cord out and plug it into a hole. And now you're able to talk to the person that you wanted to talk to. And
It's amazing,
insane.
right?
and of course there were just rooms full of people just like
It was a
switching things
prestigious
out.
job, right? It was a difficult technical job.
Yeah.
One of our Jenny and I's favorite shows is called Las Chicas del Cable, which is a Spanish show about telefonistas, these telephone operators in Madrid in like the 30s ish. You know, and so it's a really cool like period piece, plus it's Spanish, plus it's almost like a murder mystery where it's like they, you know, killed someone and who done it? Are they going to get caught?
Yeah.
And it's also set in that time period where women didn't really have rights like they do now. So the fact that women were doing it was even more of like tension and plot, you know what I mean? Those kind of things added to it. So yeah, it's an interesting like thing to think about, right? Like what jobs are existing now that, you know, our grandkids are going to look at and be like, what the hell? You
All
had a
of them.
person doing that? Driving, maybe?
Yeah.
Driving
Oh,
something?
for sure. Yeah. People used to take a 4,000-pound, 1,800-ish kilogram vehicle and drive it at,
No.
you know.
The United States will still not have switched over to
Yeah,
metric.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
In 200 years,
Never.
we'll still be obstinate about
You
it.
could just drive it wherever you could crash into stuff if you wanted. Like there was a thing that would let you do that.
Just out of control.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this clip from our show. If that's just not enough for you and you want to watch the full episode, you can go to olfpod.com/YT.
And if you want more from us, you can consider becoming a Patreon member. You'll get early access to episodes. You can join our awesome community. You can actually watch us record live and get your name in the credits by going to olfpod.com/Patreon.
So thanks everyone for watching. Check back every Friday for new clips here and new episodes on the main channel.
Thanks, everybody.